Hello everyone. In this particular video we are going to talk about Ansible playbooks. Okay, so what is this playbooks and what is plays? Okay, so let's talk about it. So what is Ansible plays? Plays are ordered set up task to execute against host selection from your inventory. Okay, so these plays are set up task. Okay, we have seen what is task. Task is a one action that we need to perform on the host machine. Okay, and then this plays is nothing but a set up tasks to execute on the host. Okay, and those hosts should be from the inventory. So now let's say you have requirement to install the Apache Tomcat, to install Java. So this is what your one requirement, and the second is you want to install MySQL, and then you want to import MySQL data. Okay, so these are the two tasks you want to perform with the Ansible playbooks. Okay, so let's see how we can do this now. So the first thing is, if you see this name is nothing but this is the name of your play. Okay, then this second key value pair is a host. Okay, so what all the host selection you want to do, what all the host you want to take for this particular task is the web server. Okay, so we know that inside web server we have lot of host machines are there. Okay, now what is this? We are creating a variable. Okay, the variable name is this var www static, and name is assets dir. Now if you want to do the privilege escalation, we know that there's a one backup command. If you want to become, then it's a true. Now, so this is what we talked about, some prerequisite requirement like name of that play and all the things. Now inside plays we can have a multiple task. The first task that we want to do is, name of the task is ensure Nginx is installed. Okay, so we are just giving the name to the task, and if Nginx is not installed, what we can do, using apt module we can install Nginx. First we'll check if that is present on the host machine. If it is there, well and good. If it is not there, we need to install. Okay, so now the next thing is, we need to see if this var www static directory is there on the host machine or not. So for that purpose we are using file module. So how we are doing it, path, that asset directory variable that we have created here, and then if it is there or not. Okay, so this way we can write a plays. Okay, so in this play inside single play, so inside plays we can have multiple tasks. So if you see, let me repeat once again. So this is the name of your play, that is Nginx play. Where you want to run this play or the task, it's on the host. So what all the host, this is a web server group I want to use to play this Nginx play, and then I have just created one variable here which I am going to use it in the task. So the variable name is asset dir, and the value is var www html static, and if you want to use the privilege, then it's a become is equal to true, and then here on from number of tasks are started. Okay, so the first task that we want to start is ensure Nginx is installed or not. Okay, so we have seen in the earlier video that if you want to see if that Nginx is installed or not, we can use the apt module. Okay, so now with the apt module I am checking if the Nginx is installed on that host or not. If it is not there, this apt module will automatically install the Nginx. Okay, now the next task that we have is, we want to check if particular xyz directory is there on the host or not. Okay, so for that directory name we have created already a variable. Then using the file module we are checking if that particular directory is there or not. Okay, so if it is there, it will show the success, otherwise it will show the failure. Okay, now there are few more things that we need to understand is, we can have a conditional statement inside the playbooks, as well as we can have a looping statement as well. So now let's talk about how we can create a conditional statement inside the playbook. Okay, and then we'll talk about loops. Now here if you see closely, So these are the tasks, okay, 1 2 3 4 tasks that we have created, okay. So these are the tasks that we need to execute one by one. So first task that I want to see is command, okay. So the first task I want to run the command bin false, okay. The result is, so this task will be run until and unless this result is false, okay, or it's in fact it's true. Now the next command is if bin something is there when result is failed, okay. So if result is failed, okay, you want to run bin something command. When result is succeeded, you want to do something else, okay. Or if result is skipped, you can do something else as well, okay. So this is something like a if else conditional loop, where this is the first task, command bin false is the first task. According to that, if that is true, do something, do this bin false command. If this task is failed, do this task. If the task is succeeded, do this task. And then if task is skipped, do this task, okay. So this way you can something like, if true, do this, if not true, do this, okay. So this way we can have a nested if else statement as well, okay. Now if you see, the loops is also almost same like a task, okay, but only thing is loops will execute all this conditional or all the block of task, okay, number of times as per your requirement, okay. Now let's talk about handlers, okay. What is handler? So if you create one task, okay, if you need some handlers to perform more operation on that, so in that case we can have a handlers. So now let's see how handler is used here, okay. So the name of your task is update nginx default config, okay. So we want to update the configuration of your nginx, okay. Now the next thing we are doing is I'm just copying default.conf to the destination, okay. So what is the destination we have? From the host machine, default.conf I'm copying into the web server, okay. So the name, and I'm copying inside the directory etc nginx sites enable default, okay. So from host machine I'm copying this default.conf into here, okay. And then we are just printing test nginx configuration, reload nginx configuration, okay. Now we have a handler. What is the use of this handler? If you see inside notify, we have two tasks, test nginx configuration and reload nginx configuration. So these are nothing but something like a handlers, okay. So this handlers we have added for this task. So once this copying is done and all this done, we'll go to the handlers and we'll execute the handler, okay. So the first handler we have is test nginx configuration. So to test nginx configuration, we are just doing nginx-3 command, and if you want to reload the nginx configuration, we have a command nginx-s reload, okay. So this way for your primary task we can write a handlers as well, through which we can verify whether it's if you want to modify something, we can add the handlers to test it, okay. Now let's include this whatever the plays we have seen inside the playbook, okay. Now again let me take example. Playbooks are, what is playbooks? Playbooks is nothing but a set of plays, okay. What is plays? Plays is set of task, okay. What is task? Task is a set of modules, okay. So this way this is a chain, a complete chain, okay. So now what is playbook? Playbook is a set of plays. What is plays? Plays is a set of task. What is task? Task is a set of modules, okay. Now let's see what all things we can write, okay. So this playbook is a simply set of plays, okay. Now again we are taking that same example, like to install Apache, install Java, install MySQL and import data from the old MySQL database. Now so what I am doing, if you want to run the playbook, what you need to do is, there is a command called Ansible playbook. When you install Ansible, this Ansible playbook command should be there, and then you can create this playbook file. We call it as a YAML file, and then we can provide this YAML file as a input, and then we can run it. Okay. Now host can be changed by providing an inventory file. Okay, so what happens if inside the inventory file, what we do is we put all the host information, right? So if you want to change anything, you can do it, and that file information, inventory file information, we can give using -i parameter, so that whatever the change new inventory file we have, that we can give as a input. Okay. Now also, if you want to set some environment variable which is required, that is also perfectly possible using Ansible playbook command, where we need to give -e option, and then you can give this environment variable. Okay. Now how to run this playbooks? Host can be limited by providing a subset. Okay, we on which host you want to run this, that is perfectly can be given from the command line. So you can just create one small inventory file which could be a subset of the original inventory file, and then that could be input for your Ansible playbook as well as your Ansible playbook file. Okay. Now number of parallel processes to use can be specified. Default is 5. Okay, so that means it's, let's say you are giving some task and you want to execute all those tasks or the plays parallelly, that is perfectly fine, you can do it. So how you can do is, you can provide this -f option and number of and the integer value, so accordingly that it will create that many parallel processes to execute your task. So but again, if you don't provide that number, by default 5 parallel processes will be executed. Okay. Now let's see the example. I want to install Nginx with a single play. Okay, so I want to install Nginx server on web server. So how I can write the playbook? Okay, so it's a simple YAML file configuration, where I'm writing like where I want to run. This is a group of web server. Become is the true for privilege escalation, and then the task, what all the tasks that I want to perform is, the first task I have is install Nginx. I'm using apt module to install this Nginx, and then I want to start this Nginx. So for that I am using a service module. Okay, so it will check if whether Nginx is started or not. If it is not started, it will start it. Okay, so this is the simplest possible YAML file we have, through which we can start this. Okay, now here you can see that this type of output you will get. Okay, so the plays, web server, task setup. Okay, web 1 is okay, install Nginx is okay. These are the tasks. Again second task, start Nginx, again that is fine. So total 3 tasks were given, all 3 are okay. Unreachable 0, failed 0. Okay, so this is the something some type of output you will see, and you can understand whether the whatever the requirement that you have provided to your Ansible playbook, whether they are working or not. Okay, now let's see let's say some example you want to execute just for assignment. So the first I want to say here is, if you already we talked about this Nginx server on web server. Now if you want to install JDK on app server and MongoDB on DB server, so this 2-3 example you can start on your setup. Oh, okay, so that can be easily done. Okay, so now let's talk about the roles. So what is roles? Roles are portable units of tasks, okay, in playbooks, and is the best way to organize your playbooks. Okay, roles are just automation around include directories and really don't contain much additional magic beyond some improvements to search, path handling for reference files. However, that can be a big thing. Okay, so let's see about roles. So now let's talk about our simple project structure, where you can see that I have this site information, then web server.yaml, fooserver.yaml, then roles. Inside roles I have common. Inside common I have file template task handler was default meta, and then again web server task. Okay, so this is the simple project structure that I have. Now if I do simply example playbook where host is equal to web server and roles is common web server. Okay, now what is the example role? Okay, name install. So this is a task again, install EPL repo. Okay, it's just a CentOS example, Nginx server name. Okay, everything looks like a task only. Running playbooks with roles. Okay, so now what we want to do is we want to install NTP server and Nginx within roles. Okay, so here you can see that the roles only, what all the roles can be performed on the web server host. Here you can see that we can either install NTP, Nginx or display static content. Okay, only these three tasks can be done by web servers. Okay, there is no other task can be done on this particular host. If you try to do apart from this, it will give error. Okay, now install Nginx and JDK and MongoDB within roles. So these are the some example, like install NTP service on all server, install Nginx server on web server, install JDK on app server, and install MongoDB on DB server. Okay, these are some example that we can do. Now let's talk about some best practices that we should follow. Is we should not complicate all the things in the Ansible playbook. If you are going to complicate everything, then it will kill the simplicity. Okay, so what we can do is we can try for simplifying things, and we can write a simplified Ansible playbook. Then it should be readable. Okay, so we can optimize the readability with the Ansible, and then we can think declaratively. Okay, now let's again talk about the simple project layout that we should follow. So we should have a config, provision, roles declaration, then task. Okay, so when we have a full project, in that case we can see this. Now while creating inventory as well, if you see the left side inventory and the right side inventory. Okay, so if you view something like a inventory, like a left side inventory, and if someone wants to understand from this, it is really difficult to understand from the left side inventory. Okay, but if you provide some meaningful names to all the inventory, that will really help us to understand. Okay, so now let's say these are the DB systems and these are the web servers. So now if you just put something like this, it is nobody will understand what is this machine, whether it's a web server or a DB server, or is it doing something else. But if you give some meaningful inventory names, if you see the right hand side, where what I am doing for all these hosts, I am giving DB1, DB2, DB3, DB4. Okay, so now I can easily understand these are the DB servers. Okay, and this is are the numbering. Okay, DB1 server, DB2 server, DB3, something like this. Okay, and now this below one are the web servers, and then we can give a proper name, web1, web2, web3, web4, right? So this way, if you provide the proper inventory name, that will really help us to read properly and to understand or to digest it properly. Okay, so it's always recommended that you give a proper name to your inventory. Okay, now the next thing is, if you see the difference between these two YAML file, if you write something like this, okay, this is something like a horizontal, right? So it is always recommended to write the vertical. Okay, because vertical reading is easier. So what you can see here is a one task, install Telegraph. Okay, and then how to install using yum module. We want to install Telegraph version, state present, update cache, yes, disable gpg cache, yes, enable fruit Telegraph, enable repo Telegraph. Okay, so these are some information you have given, but if you just try to read it, it looks really complex system, or the complex code that you looks like, and will not be able to understand it quickly. Okay, but now if you see the right hand side here, you can easily understand that name is, you want to install this, name this, okay, then version, state present, update cache yes, disable gpg cache, enable repo telegraph. Here if you see the right hand side YAML file is more readable as compared to the left hand side YAML. Okay, so always try to write this YAML file in a vertical way so that the reading will be easy. Now again, it is very important to provide a proper names to your task. Okay, if you don't provide the task a proper name, now let's compare these two tasks. Okay, the left hand side task and right hand side task. So if you see left hand side task, so I'm not giving any name to that task. Okay, even I'm using two modules. First is a yum, second is a service. Inside yum module I'm just giving httpd, I want to install this, and the service is again I want to check if this is started or not. But if someone just go and read it, it will not understand that this, what is this doing, okay, what this task is doing, okay, what this exactly what is the operation, or you should be able to understand directly that what this particular task is doing, okay, which is not happening on the left hand side YAML file. So now go to the right hand side. Here you can see that host web, in name install and start Apache, name of the task is install Apache package. How to install we have given, name start Apache service, and then service detail. So here you can easily understand by reading the name that what this particular task is doing. Okay, so this task is installing the Apache. Okay, then there are two different sub modules we have. The first module is installing the package, and the second module is whether that service is up and running, we are validating. Okay, so from this second type of YAML we are easily understood what this task is doing. So try to add this meaningful task name, okay, into the Ansible playbooks. Okay, now let's see the output of this two. Okay, so the output of the first YAML file that we have seen in the left hand side of earlier slide, you can see the output. Okay, play web, task setup, okay web 1, task yum, okay web 1, task service, okay web 1. So here you are not getting whether what is done mean exactly, right, because we didn't provide any proper name to the task, and due to this reason we are not able to understand what is happening. Okay, so now if you see the output of the right hand side, you can see that here setup, okay, till here you can understand install and start Apache we want to do. The first task is install Apache package. Now you can understand here install Apache package is okay, that means successful, and start Apache server is also okay, successful. Okay, so that is the reason it is very important to provide a proper task name. Okay, now again if you want to add the smoke test in your YAML file, that is perfectly you can do it. Okay, we have all the support that, and you can do it here itself. Okay, so this way you can do it. Now if you want to till now we know that we have seen lot of modules like file modules, apt module, service module. Okay, so these are the modules that we have seen, but if you want to write your own module, that is also perfectly fine. So how you can do that, let's say this is my YAML file. Okay, so what I'm doing is host all vars, there is no var, certification stored here, name of the certification is my cert. Now these are the some tasks what I'm doing. The first task is checking certification. Now the task is shell. Okay, but what I am doing is certify. Okay, certify list hyphen name, certificate name, registered output. Now name, create certificate, command certificate, certify, create user crease, output, registered output, name, sign certification, certify sign. Okay, so this certify is that module we need to create. So what I can do, if you see at the right hand side, I have created name, create and sign cert, module name is certify, and then inside this it is doing state present, sign yes, user crease, name this. Okay, so this way you can create your own modules inside your Ansible playbooks. Okay, now so this is a one simple example, Spring Boot REST API deployment. Here you can see that first we need to, if you want to deploy this REST service, you can simply just clone this code, go inside it, install this Maven package. It requires Java 8. So what we are doing, installing Java 8. So for that we are creating one module, sorry, we are creating one task. Okay, name of the task is install OpenJDK repository, and then repository name is this. Now we are installing OpenJDK using apt module. It will install it. Now let's say you want to put this Ansible in a continuous integration pipeline. Okay, so how we can do this? First we need to install the Jenkins plugins. Okay, first we need to install the Jenkins Ansible plugin. Okay, once that is done, in the Jenkins we have option to invoke Ansible playbook, where we can give the playbook path. Okay, and then you can add it. Once add, then with the help of playbooks, it will apply this playbooks on the some specific host machine of your Jenkins, and it will give the output something like this. Okay, so this way you can add this plugin inside Ansible. We have this option to do something like this. Then we have this TeamCity Ansible plugin is also there, but which is not required for this video. Now let's talk about how we can use the Ansible for AWS. Okay, this is very important. So there is one module called Boto. It's a Python module. We need to use it with the Ansible. Okay, so what is this Boto module? Boto is a Python package that provides interface to Amazon Web Services. Okay, so if you want to interact with AWS, then there is a Python Boto module which we can use to interact with AWS. Currently all features work with Python 2.x and 2.7. So that means it should be a more than 2.6 Python version we required. Ansible uses Boto to communicate with AWS API. It can be installed via OS package manager or pip. Okay, so if you want to install this Boto module, you can simply do apt-get install Python Boto. Okay, or if you have a pip package manager, you can simply do pip install Boto. Why we are using Boto? Because this Ansible internally use Boto APIs to interact with the AWS APIs. Okay, now let's say you want to manage the AWS inventory using Ansible. Okay, so what you can do is, for that we need to have this ec2.py script and ec2.ini config file, that we need to take it from the AWS. Okay, so then only you will be able to manage the EC2 inventory. So for that, if you want to get this ec2.py and ec2.ini, you need to go on this particular location. Okay, where you will get this ec2 and ec2.py and ec2.ini. Okay, sorry. Now once that is done, we need to export some environment variable that we are going to use it. Okay, so the first environment variable is your AWS access key ID. Okay, once we have the account on the AWS, we'll have that API key. Okay, so that you need to export in the from where you want to run this Ansible playbook. Then again, it's a secret key that we'll get when you will have account. Then Ansible host inside ec2.py, we need to provide all the host details. Okay, and then this is a configuration file where you can put your configurations. Okay, and then you can create SSH key to access this. Now if you go inside this, if you want to run it, ping to all the Ansible. So we know that how to ping. We have a command Ansible -m ping, and then you can provide the file which contains all the list of inventory. Okay, so change ping pong, it's successful. Now from the beginning, Ansible has offered deep support for AWS. Ansible can be used to define, deploy and manage a wide variety of AWS services. Even the most complicated of AWS environment can be easily described in Ansible playbooks. Okay, So we can definitely interact with the clouds very easily using Ansible. Okay, there are a lot of things to which Ansible supports. Okay, if you want to see more information about the Ansible modules which support cloud environment, that you can see on this particular link. Okay, now let's say with the help of Ansible, if you want to create ELB, okay, in Elastic Load Balancer, so this is the simple YAML file. You can do it simply. This is the task, configure load balancer. This is the attribute EC2 ELB LB. I am just giving name. Then this state present. You want to give the region, connection draining time or 60. Okay, so this all these attributes are more related with the closely related with your AWS attributes. Okay, so if you have some background on the AWS part, then you can easily understand what these attributes are doing. Okay, now if you want to configure auto scaling, that is perfectly fine. Here you can see that health check period is 60, health check type ELB, and then minimum maximum size we can configure. This is configurable, and through which we can provide the auto scaling support. Okay, now we know that earlier we are facing the problems of on works on my machine problem, right? Like it will work on my machine but it will not work on your machine. So in this type of problem, if you want to solve it, we can just go test and we can create image with the help of Docker, and this will solve us. Okay, so now just quickly go through the lab how we can do interact with the AWS. So deploy greeting rate service to AWS. So what I am doing is, so this is just a simply output. Okay, so that's it in this video. We'll talk more about Docker and Ansible in the next video. Till the time, thanks.